Good morning, and good morning. How is everybody doing? This, you just tuned into the Diamond Factor Experience Show with yours truly, Barbara Beckley. How is everybody doing this wonderful, magnificent Thursday? And I know you're probably saying to yourself, what is she on this morning? No, I'm just on, I'm a high on life. I'm high on life. And I'm saying that because sometimes, no, not sometimes, I'm going to correct myself. Most of the time, you have to remind yourself why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you wake up in the morning? And then appreciate that you did wake up in the morning and that you do get to do the things that you might be thinking of, or maybe some things you might not get to because you're here. It's another day. You have another chance to complete greatness in your life and in other people's life. So I'm just ecstatic every time I come on every morning. I always tell myself, thank you first for getting me started, getting me riled up. And then I thank each and every one of you, that's supporting this show, that's coming on, that hopefully is telling other people, hint, hint, and letting you know that you can come here and get so much value and so much just interesting people coming on. I love the guests that I have on because they teach me. They really teach me. So, I always want to start with some kind of quote, something that you can kind of think about to get you through the day. So this I was honed in on about uniqueness, about bringing your uniqueness out. A lot of times I'm always telling people your uniqueness is your special sauce. Your uniqueness is something that no one else has. Always think about those fingerprints. Fingerprints. As you know, each fingerprint is different for each person in the world. We got 7 point what billion people in the world, and we all have a distinct fingerprint. That's the same thing for you and your gifts and talents and what you have. You have that distinct gift that people are waiting for. See, people might not want to talk to me or work with me. They be like, okay, Barbara, you kind of, I don't know. I love you dearly, but I don't know if I work with you. But they might want to work with another person that has that gift that really resonates with them. So you never downplay who you are. So with the little, like I said, something to think about, utilize all the uniqueness, skills, and talents you have been blessed with, because you have. You will make the most of your talents when you are not afraid to show them to the world. Many people hesitate before doing this because we have been taught it is a form of boastfulness or pride. Okay. Do not deprive the world of something it desperately, I love what it says, that desperately needs. You and your talents. Desperately. There was a great deal of satisfaction to be had when you use the skills you have been blessed with to fulfill extended of your abilities. Today, allow yourself to receive the recognition you greatly deserved. I know you're like, why she's emphasizing? When I emphasize certain words, when I get a little louder with certain words, that's mean I want you to pay attention. I really want you to pay attention because my mission is always to make sure that others understand their value, their gifts, their talents, their purpose and passion and drive. Who you are. Who are you? You are amazing. You have to tell yourself that. Even some days when you feel like crap, that's when you really got to push it. You really got to say it to yourself, because those are the days that you have to pick yourself up, because sometimes you might not have other individuals saying how awesome you are. You might not get on my show and hear me say how awesome you are at the time. You're going to have to believe in that yourself. So remember, your unique gifts and your talents are so important. Like they said, people are desperate in hearing what you got to say. And with that, we're going to start the show. Oh, okay. Just I was just getting into the groove, for Thursday. But it's funny because I told everybody, I think I mentioned this last week, that I'm going to be starting my drum practice. Well, coaching. They're going to be coaching me because I can't practice nothing if I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I can hit a beat. That's about it. Maybe a little small beat if I hear it right, maybe. But I need somebody to teach me. So I'm going to be starting my drum lessons in August. Yeah, see, that's what I said. Think of it, get excited about it, and then put action to it. I've been talking about me loving I've always wanted to kind of learn the drums for a while. You've been listening to me for a while talking about that, me banging and everything, thinking I'm doing it, thinking I'm Genesis, Phil Collins and everything. Okay, that might be going my age, right? Well, if you don't know Phil, well, first of all, if people don't know who Phil Collins is, then something is wrong. That he's like the best drum player of the universe. Come on now, I can feel it calling in the night. Come on. I mean, just go to the old Miami Vice shows. I mean, the old ones, not the remake ones that they did with Jamie Foxx. I'm talking about the old ones, the other ones. But anyway, I want to get into I'm gonna get into shows, and I don't want to stop this because I want to move on. I want you to get some more value, but we gotta break the ice. So every Thursday, what I've been doing so far, Laura Armstrong, she's coming on, within the next half an hour of the show. But what I do on Thursdays too is I go into my vault. I go into my vault of interviews that I've done with these magnificent diamond queens that I interviewed for the past year, from last year to this year. And I was just looking at my vault the other day. I have and I was like, I talked to that many women? I have over 300 interviews. 300 that I did, one-on-one interviews, the Diamond Factor spotlight interviews. And I still do them. I mean, I kind of took a step back on how many because I'm doing the show 5 times out the week here. But I still love my one-on-one interviews with the ladies to get more insight about them and what they do in their business or their life or their personal life. And then I like them to shine, like I said, for everybody else. So I dug into my vault, and you're going to be hearing a wonderful lady, Christina Shed. She is awesome. Her story is awesome. Please, please, please reach out to her. In fact, I ran into her yesterday. This was so funny. Now, I haven't interviewed her in like over 6-7 months. And then I was on Clubhouse the other night listening to about podcasting. And saying, what's really important about podcasting, how to get out there, what kind of topic you might want to talk about, all that good stuff. Clubhouse, you go to these certain clubs, you learn a lot of information. And she was in there with me, and we haven't talked in 6 months. And when I got up to the stage, I was talking about, with podcasts and had some questions. And then she gets something, she's like, oh my God, this is awesome. She said, and then on top of that, this is what I'm talking about, collaboration when you do a good job. She didn't only we popped up on Clubhouse in the same room. After I spoke and asked her my question, she then spoke and said, well, first of all, before I ask my question, I just want to tell everybody, get on Barbara's show. She is awesome. She makes you feel comfortable. She's exciting. And I was like, oh my God, third-party endorsement. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So see, you never know. You never know. That's why I say your uniqueness, your skills are so important. So with all that said, let's go straight to her interview, and we're going to make this happen. Here we go. Okay, it looks like the volume was low, so we're going to try this again. Let's see here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. Hi, my name is Barbara Beckley. I am the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive in their lives. And this platform is to make sure to increase their visibility so they shine like a diamond to the world. And today, we have another Queen Diamond. I call the ladies Queen Diamonds, and I know they kind of like Barbara. I said, yes, you are queens, you're royalty. So Christine Shea, she is a queen. Today is well known for speaking on women's leadership and entrepreneurship, as well as wellness and health, has a diversity and impress background, reflecting her wide and various interests. In addition to her life in the corporate world in marketing, she has given of her time to make things better for others, hoping to inspire change. Christine is passionate, and she is passionate about driving positive change for women socially and professionally. Queen.
Well, thank you so much for an amazing introduction, Barbara, and I'm very honored to be back on your show. And I love your sparkle theme, because that's sort of a lot about what I am all about, is really, amplifying your sparkle, amplifying your shine. So we're very much on the same page there.
I know we gel.
Yes, totally.
I always love talking to you, and I'm very open. I know this is our second time around. We're just going to call it as technology is not our friend, and move along from there.
It's our friend again right now, because at least we're connected. So I think during the pandemic, we're so blessed that we're in a day and age that we can connect at least virtually. So we'll count our blessings.
Yes. So this time for technology is working great.
Yeah, it was just a dress rehearsal last time. So.
Dress rehearsal. You're right. Now we're ready to go. So I want everybody to get to know how awesome and just the passion, like you said, that you have and you do. And before I even start with that, there's always certain people you meet in life where it just has that like little connection you have, and you just feel that golden heart that they have. And I see that when we met the first time, that I just see such a heart of gold that you have. So I just want to just say that to you, that thank you for having that, because we need more people in the world like that, especially what's going on right now. So thank you for just being who you are. And with that, now I'm going to go give you some more. You're a true conqueror. You have you great examples of being a leader that you do, which is needed too, because sometimes people look at leadership as like dictatorship sometimes. And I tell people that is so much of the not of a leader. And, after reviewing some of your stories and challenges that you dealt with, and then being an advocate for natural, healthcare, and you do a lot of things. Can you explain like how you really got into that, and that's your passion?
Well, it's sort of a bit of my life story, I guess. I can try to sum it up in a short synopsis. As we discussed before, I had, I've been a single mom, and tragically, I guess you could say, I've lost two husbands, one due to an accident and one due to some health issues. And it was very, very hard. And then I raised a daughter on my own as a single mother. And, I was always trying to make everything work. I was doing that hustle. I was doing that grind. I was climbing corporate ladders. I was working downtown in Toronto in the financial district, running my own consulting business on top of having a day job. So it was like, I really only slept probably about 3 hours a night, and that's not exaggerating. And it was taking a huge toll. Plus I was taking courses, because I was always trying to further, I'm an eternal student, right? So I always want to keep learning. So I was trying to jam pack so much in there. And then what happened really was I was becoming really burnt out. And I actually collapsed in the financial district in the food court very dramatically. And, I was rushed to the hospital. There was a multitude of tests and all that. And I really just thought I was just tired and stressed. And I was, getting a lot of migraines and headaches for years, actually. Stress can really induce a lot. So really, they did a whole bunch of CAT scans and then an MRI, and they found out that I had, first they diagnosed me with brain cancer, so my heart stopped. I remember going into after, but they actually found later that it was a brain cyst, but it wasn't cancer, thank God, but it was putting a pressure on my brain. It was causing a lot of pain. You could go the surgical route. At that time, I didn't want to because there was a worry that it could compromise my vision. I have lost some vision because of it. But I'm very much healthy now. But it was really refinding myself, resetting, like a wellness path for myself. And I was realizing that this hustle, this daily grind, what was all ingrained as us as success is, having that title, that corporate title, and having not that I had a fancy car, but having all the status that goes along with those things as a measure of success. And I really realized that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be home more for my daughter, and I was taking so many painkillers that I wasn't maybe the most pleasant person. I still feel I was a very good mother, but it wasn't how I wanted to live my life. Taking all these painkillers, and so I discovered medical cannabis, really, but I also discovered how to just reset my path. So I wanted to incorporate wellness as a whole. So not just putting my Lululemon pants on and going to yoga. Yes, I definitely did that and drink out of my small bottle. But yes, I learned how to eat well. I didn't know I'm not perfect. Yes, I will indulge once in a while in a bag of potato chips. I won't lie. But everything is in balance, right? But I was more greens. I was doing way more smoothies and stuff, and just I was always on a time crunch. So I'd put all my spinach, I'd put my blueberries, I'd put all my supplements and stuff. But also, I was learning about meditation and taking things a little slower. Just because you're busy does not mean that you are being productive or successful in that, because just being busy, I'm always busy, and I hate that word. I just always say I'm engaged. I'm engaged in whatever I'm doing, because
No, I'm loving that what you just said, Kristen, because I hate that word too. I mean, it's like the buzzword for the year is like, I'm busy. Yes, I'm so busy. I'm just busy doing this. And it's like, okay, can't we use another word? Because it seems like that. And some people, when they hear that you're busy, they feel like that you're not, in my mind, I feel like you're not open for other opportunities or anything that can come in your life, because now you got this busy in front of you.
yeah.
And that's why I like when you said more so of engaging.
I enthusiastically engaged in my projects.
Yeah.
So, but it's a really fine balance. And as I think women, I know, especially as a single parent, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, women do carry the brunt of still, the work at home, and going to work and raising children, especially during the pandemic. A lot of people are homeschooling. Maybe some people are, with their children back at school. It might have eased off a little, but I think for women, my purpose in my company, which I founded, Blue Skies Life, it was all about the blue skies and the optimism and the hopefulness. And Blue Skies Life is it's a wellness company. I'll call it an inclusive, modern lifestyle wellness brand, where I really want to elevate wellness as a whole life mindset. So it's not just about, as I said, drinking that smoothie or taking that supplement. It's really approaching life in a whole spectrum. And it can be simple as just, taking some time to yourself to meditate in the morning, to, having some small indulgent, whether it's essential oils or something just to calm down. But it's really about elevating wellness for mind, body, and home. And Blue Skies Life, which will be e-commerce first, coming out with education and products, but it'll bring tools that will help bring you calm, joy, vitality into your life, and inspiration. And we'll be doing a lot of education as well. So we'll be layering that on and really creating a community where women can engage with each other and share stories. I've already started creating some digital other platforms as well. Making Her Story, which instead of making history, making her story, where women can share their stories and adventures. And I'm also starting another platform. I'm very much about, sharing and engaging other women and having them on the show like you do, sharing their stories. And another one I'm just launched, Growing Young. Instead of growing old, we're growing young. I really hated the term growing old. So I thought, you know what, it's time to reframe that. We're here on this planet and, it's better than alternative. I hate it when people say life was over after 40. I'm like, I'm just beginning. And I'm approaching 50 now. I'm not quite there, but almost. And I want to, if I'm going to live a long life, I want to make sure it's good.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's when women really start to shine, because they, hopefully they, at least the majority of their children maybe are, starting off on their new paths. They can, settle in and find their self again, because sometimes you lose yourself to work, to children, to marriage, all that. And I think as you grow a little older, you could not only grow wiser, but you're growing young in heart. And I think that's what we have to instill, especially since women are, the average age, I think, is in their 80s now. So let's make your life count. You only got one life. And after my health journey, which is always an ongoing thing, I ended up, even during the pandemic, back in the hospital again. Stress is huge. So you really have to put things in check. So is it going to really matter in 5 years? That's what I always say. Is it going to matter? So take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, like that breathing really helps. And dust yourself off when, I don't know if I can swear, when shit happens, you just dust yourself off and get up, right? And that's easier said than done sometimes, but it is really important to keep going. It's not about, success is not permanent, right? So, you can climb all those ladders, but you can fall down that ladder. And when you fall down, you better learn how to get back up. Even if you just take a couple steps up, you might fall back down again, but dust yourself off. And failure is learning, and not necessarily, I don't really frame it as failure. I frame it as a learning opportunity.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah. And I always say, Christine, that I tell people that success is in the eyes of how you see success. Some people see success as, ooh, I made a lot of money. I need all this money. Some people look at success as, how many people did I talk to, did I say hi to today and instill some kind of impact in their lives. Other people look at success as, what? I drank 8 glasses of water today. I'm successful. So, there's different levels, but it's in the eyes of the person. And if we start just putting it like success is this and only this, then that takes away from a lot of other people that's creating a lot of success in their lives. It doesn't have to be what you think it is. So I'm glad she said those certain levels.
I agree totally. Success is really, it should be a self-determined measure. And I think, yes, all those materialistic status, I think people realized during the pandemic, a lot of that stuff doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all born into the world and we're all going out of this world the same way. And no matter how much money you have in your bank account, it won't matter where you're going. So I think what's more important is to really leave a legacy of whatever that is that you want. And I don't mean just a financial legacy. I mean more about the impact, the positive impact, how people will remember you. And hopefully you're going to leave the world and whatever your environment was, a better place when you do leave. So I think that's the most important thing. And blue skies, like we're now going to bring that back into, because I'm looking out the window right now. There's blue skies peeking through the clouds.
Yeah, because I have blue skies today. We had rain yesterday. Now it's the sun shining. So I love how you called your company Blue Skies. That's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's whenever I was going through some very difficult times, as I said, I experienced, losing 2 husbands, and, obviously your career goes on a bit of a roller coaster sometimes. And it's not just that, it's also health, and you're looking up at the sky. I always would look up at the sky just to give me hope and optimism. And when I see those blue skies, it's fabulous. But sometimes there's storms, right? Like you said, there's a rainstorm, there's a thunderstorm, maybe there's even a tornado, depending on how you're like, that could be metaphorically or literal. But, without those storms, you're not going to appreciate those blue skies, right? And you'll also remember, what, it might be really not great weather today, but tomorrow, or maybe the day after or the week after, there's going to be sunshine around that corner. So just hold on and keep going. And blue skies life, it was just living your life with that mentality of wellness and reframing your mindset. Also, there's also a term called blue sky thinking. I don't know if you've heard of that. I'm sure most people have. So it's really about thinking without limits, without boundaries. I'll say even without stigmas. I think with all the, social awareness that's been going on during the pandemic, like with BLM or, gender inequity. There's all sorts of things going on right now in the world, and people are really looking at all those things. And blue sky thinking is really about, let's think bigger. Let's think without boundaries. Let's crush those stigmas. Let's get rid of these, ways of thinking. The sky is not the limit even, right? So that's what I love about it. Some people think it's a loftier, unreality way of thinking. No, you know what? You can change your world and you can be the change, right?
Oh, so good. Yes. Oh, I'm just like, say it, Christine, say it. You're so right.
Oh,
Oh, thank you for saying that. We need to be more aware of that. I mean, just like I tell people, I talk about the box syndrome. You know how people say, look outside, look outside the box. Okay, why is the box even there? That's what I ask people. I said, who put the box there? Take the box, throw the box away, and
yeah,
then you can just,
exactly.
yeah.
That's when creative thinking happens. Yeah, I always tell people, think totally crazy. Like, what if you had all the money in the world and you could change something? Think that way. Or what if you were on Star Trek, and you could create this amazing new invention? What would it be and what would it do? Like, think totally outside the box. What if everybody was equal? What if everybody didn't have to calculate their whole success, or go back to success, about their paycheck and what kind of house they live in? What if it was measured on how they gave back to the community or what they did for other people? I think that's really or their products, how did it change the world? I think, or even it's just 1-2 people, it really doesn't matter. I think success has to be redefined, as we said, and that normal, everybody wants to go back to normal. Well, I don't want to go back to that normal. I want to create a new normal where that hustle, that grind is not the normal. People having time for their families, being able to make a home cooked healthy dinner, being able to have time to meditate in the morning, or finding their own version of calm, and really checking all their mindset and this, I'll call it the whole life spectrum of wellness. Like, you have your mental, physical. Without the mental, you don't really have much, because that drives your whole wellness mindset, right? So mental, emotional, physical, spiritual is very important. It doesn't mean religion, it just means spirituality. Social interaction, which a lot of people have maybe lacked, but we do have Zoom. It's not the same, but it's something, right? And then environmental, how we live our lives. And I remember looking at the sky, because there was not many cars on the road, right? And the skies were really blue, right? So environmentally, the world was kind of healing a little bit, because we weren't driving our cars, we weren't creating as much pollution in the industry. Although it's also about your environment at home and your environment at work. Are you loving your job? A lot of people are realizing, you know what? Maybe I really want to follow my passion, my purpose. Maybe I still have to keep my job, but maybe I can really rework that in. Or maybe I want to start a new career, or so, or start a podcast or a vlog, and help the world through dialogue and conversation. There's so many opportunities, and I think that's what I'm trying not to diminish what's happened in the world, with people passing away, and people have lost loved ones, lost their jobs, lost businesses. There's so much, right? But try to reframe that and say, you know what, that's what I did when my husband was lost, to be honest. When I lost them, I always was like, okay, I have one life, I'm going to make it count. And, sometimes maybe I didn't channel that energy in the right direction, and sometimes I had to get back on track. But really use, out of crisis, there's always opportunity. And that's what I try to think.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, Christy, just to add to that, I love what you said about, out of crisis, there's room for opportunity. But we have to make sure that because I know we all have our stories, like with your husband and what you were dealing with health wise, but you were determined, you made that decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this be made a victim in my life. I'm going to be victorious in this. I'll move forward. I know it hurts. I know it stings. I mean, and I tell people, I say, you need to feel how you're going to feel when you deal with things in life, because that's going to move you too. But, because you don't want to get in denial, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole that you can go down to. But
Definitely.
if you really just take it in, say, you know what, I'm hurting right now. I'm not feeling good right now. I got to cry, whatever. Then when you do that, then make that right decision to move forward. Because if you don't, then have to, so like everything that you've done with your business and being that leader that you are wouldn't have happened if you went that other direction. So that's what I always tell people. I says, one thing to have the crisis in your life is another thing of how are you going to now, which way are you going to turn, after you kind of let things go. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will fix it except yourself. So, so you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and yeah, you do have to. I'll have to say from personal experience, sometimes I was a little numb because I was like, okay, I have to just keep going, and I wasn't nurturing the hurt or the grief process because I was trying to look after my daughter, for example. But I think that's an ongoing process. But you definitely have to nurture that hurt or the loss. Within yourself, but use it as a tool to propel yourself forward and help others.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I like that, propel. I love that because everything's moving forward. Everything we're talking about is kind of moving forward. But I always, because people come to me sometime, they're like, "Well, I'm in pain. I'm hurting right now," and I said, "And take that in. No, we don't want to stop that because if you don't take it in, somewhere down the road, when you're moving forward, like you said, you're busy, you're doing everything, it's going to hit. And it might hit at times where you'll be like, okay, this is not the time that I really needed this to hit me right now. So just make sure that, you absorb the hurt. It's going to be there. We're human. It's going to happen. So awesome, awesome, awesome. I want to ask one more question because I know you mentioned a bit about cannabis and how it helped, in a healthy way. And I've talked to other ladies that have been dealing with like insomnia and headaches and stuff like that. And they said they tried the medical cannabis and they said it has worked wonders. It's a good prevention. So I see that you did that too. Now, did that help with because with what you were having
It
problems with?
helped me on so many levels. I'll tell you kind of the story because it's kind of funny. Maybe it wasn't funny at the time, but I was experiencing debilitating migraines. Like it was like I'd function, but on a lot of medication, and then I'd come home and I would just be not only just depressed, I would be in pain. It was very hard for me to just even make a dinner for my daughter. It was awful. So one night I had called a friend of mine, and she was actually suffering from breast cancer. And she said, oh, because she came over to help me look after my daughter. And I was, in my bed with the lights turned off and ice pack on my head. And she's like, why don't you try something different? I'm like, I've tried everything, and it's not working. I'm feeling sorry for myself. And she's like, well, why don't you try some cannabis, right? And I'm like, I don't do drugs. And she's like, come on, like you got a whole bedside, a table. Look at this. And she just like got angry and she off. She goes, you do drugs. You do drugs right now. I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about it that way. But
got a whole bottle.
It's just the stigma of cannabis. Again, it's like that.
Yeah.
Not that it works for everyone. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to say it cured me. I still have the condition. And I would always encourage people to see and consult their doctors first before, especially if it's for a medical condition, because it may interact with other drugs you are taking or medication or your own, issues that you may have. However, for me, it is a natural plant. And I think when, people talk about pharma, I mean, it is still, it can be treated as medicine, but to me, it's plant powered medicine. It is a natural plant that, should not have that stigma. It grows in people's backyards or wherever. And the oil, you can take CBD, which has no psychoactive qualities in terms of intoxication as THC, but really a 1-to-1 like THC and CBD together. They're great for insomnia. I have terrible insomnia, partly because my circadian rhythm is really off, and I don't produce enough melatonin actually in my brain because of my condition. So it does really help. Also combining that just with the lifestyle, of course. You can't just do one thing and then, think, oh, I'll take some cannabis and I'll still hustle and grind, and I'm not going to eat well, and I'm not going to do this or that. So, it all has to be integrated. So yeah, it's not, it's not a miracle plant. Some people say it is. Yes, everything can be in context, but let's be reasonable here, okay? But it is wonderful for pain and arthritis. A lot of people will need a little bit of THC. It's all very personal. Just dial it in and always try to consult a medical professional in the cannabis space that will help you. There's medical doctors that specialize in cannabis. And in the States, I can't remember, in Canada, we have something called a medical license. So then you have access to doctors that can help prescribe. I mean, I've done so many different things and experimented, but again, make sure if you're trying new things, don't be operating heavy equipment or driving. But it is wonderful for pain, fibromyalgia, headaches. Just, instead of taking maybe that glass of wine when we get to work, maybe you can take it in different formats. You don't have to smoke it, right? So I'm not by nature a smoker. Especially because my daughter's father, he passed away from smoking complications. It was rather sudden, but a heart attack. So I didn't really want to smoke in front of her, nor wasn't really something I wanted to take up. So if you're not well, I don't really suggest all of a sudden, if you've never smoked in your life, to start smoking. I really don't think that's probably the ideal solution, but if you want to do it once in a while, there is vaping. There's controversy about that, although as long as it's from legal sources and it's not cut with vitamin E acetate or other solvents that are harmful. Do your homework. Don't buy off black market because you won't know what's in it. There's gel caps. So those take a little longer to digest. They're kind of like an edible in that context. So always go low and slow because people are like, oh, that didn't work. So I'll take another one. And then you're like, ooh.
And all of a sudden it's like,
yes, you might not enjoy it so much. So yeah, always go low and go slow and try things out. And, sometimes it's a 1-to-1, like an equal amount of CBD and an equal amount of THC. And the CBD often counteracts that psychoactive quality that you get with THC, which can have intoxicating effects. But really, it's also just like wine. Like people take wine, and a lot of women have a glass of wine, just to de-stress. Although I think during the yeah, it could calm down. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, as long as it's being controlled. And I think during the pandemic, there's been a lot of wine drinking. But yeah, always everything in moderation. I love my wine too. And people say, oh, well, how can you drink wine and do that? I don't do it at the same time. But if you do, that's your choice. You just have to know what the consequences may be.
And that, that's with anything though, Christine. We have to do it in moderation and knowing what you're doing and the reason why and how you want to do it. Like you said, you can do it smoking, vapor. Because I know I talked to other ladies that came on, and one lady came on, I forgot her name. Oh, that's sad. But she was talking about how she puts it in foods.
Yes.
There's different ways you can, do it in certain foods. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah. So edibles, so that's what we call them in Canada. So I just didn't.
I always like going to my vault of interviews because I met so much wonderful ladies. So that was Christina. You heard a majority of her interview. And, I'm going to make sure that if you want to reach out to her, because she's an awesome coach, to be able to get her information. And like I said, there's going to be more, vault interviews on Thursdays before we bring the fabulous, wonderful Ms. Laura Armstrong in. And, she said one thing real quickly that I really loved that we talked about: out of crisis creates opportunities. And, I stress that you have to make sure you make the right decision, because, you can have a crisis in your life and you might not think of the opportunities come from it because you're so into that crisis and what it's doing to you. So remember that every story in your life, there's a reason for it, to help you help yourself, to move, to learn, to grow somewhere in that. And then on that point, the extra is to help others and show the light and be a connection for others. So we're going to connect right now with Ms. Laura. Here she comes.
morning, everybody. It's great to see you all this morning. I'm excited to chat with you today, as I am every week. And every week, we're going to be covering a different kind of thing about leadership. Leadership is such a huge subject. And I really feel like we could talk about this for years and years and years and never cover everything. But I wanted to do something really impactful today for you guys. So I want you to get thinking, like we kind of talked about previously, like, what does leadership mean to you and where do you want to be in your leadership? And I talked about goal setting last week. But what I want to talk about today is some of the most common leadership traits that I see that you want to cultivate. And these are just some of them, believe me. I mean, I can, there's hundreds, right? But these are the most common ones that I see, and that I embrace a lot of these as well. And not only do you probably naturally have a lot of these traits, but having awareness about them is super key for you to, making sure that you're employing them in your leadership and your business. So I want to talk about the 6 business leadership skills that are required to effectively manage your small business, whether you're an entrepreneur, small business, whatever it is that you're managing, right? So it's not specifically geared to like corporate or anything like that. These are just traits as a human being that make you a good leader. And being the head of something means you are in leadership, right? And leadership means that when everyone becomes involved and is on the same page and they feel safe within the environment that you brought them into, that's when success really happens. Okay. So when I talk about these, you want to be thinking about what type of leadership personality you have and why they're important and where they apply to you in your business, right? And your leadership. Because sometimes it's not going to be in every area and you're not using them all the time, though you've got them in your toolbox in the back of your brain to bring out when you need, right? Because like I said, there's so many aspects to it. Like you couldn't just be using them all you go crazy, right? It just wouldn't happen. So the first one I want to talk about is interpersonal communication skills. And communication, as you know, is like one of my favorite subjects. I could probably just have like a 5-hour class on that right now. But I want to keep it very high level because we're going to get deeper into these things the more we do these trainings every week, right? Or these talks every week. And I'm going to be bringing on some guests as well to give their point of view about leadership because gosh knows, I don't know everything about it. I'm just figuring it out. I've got a good head start, but I think having other people's point of view about things can not only contribute to opening your mind and being in more of a growth mindset, but also giving you things that you probably are aware of but needed to hear from someone else. How many times has someone said something to you for 50 times, right? And then someone else comes along and says the exact same thing. And you're like, oh, now I get it, right? So for me, when I was teaching my students, that would happen to me all the time. That's why I encourage them to go out and learn from other people and then come back. And they're like, oh my God, I had this light bulb. This happened. And I'm like, I talk to you about that every class, right? And they're like, you do, right? But they needed to hear it from someone else, right? And that's what triggered them, right? So in order to lead, you need to possess the ability to articulate your opinion. So that means that you're not going to tell people what to do, but how you express what you think. You want to articulate it clearly and leave no room for misunderstandings, because I feel like when we're communicating, that is always like an option that could happen over here. How many times have you sent an email and it's gotten the wrong connotation or the message across, which you certainly didn't intend, but that's how the person received it? Excuse me. Or in a conversation that you've had the same thing. The best way to not get your message mixed up is to be super clear about, how you're speaking. And the way we can do this the most effectively, which is probably the most challenging way right now, is to be right in front of people and them looking at you and you looking at them. Because not only can you take in the body language here, you can listen actively to what they're saying and actually hear what they're saying as they're saying it. Watch their face, look for the cues, right? But we don't always have the benefit of that. So we have to make sure that what we're articulating and saying isn't getting misunderstood, okay? So the art of communication actually plays a huge role in building trust among the people that you work with, the people that you interact with, that you network, that you collaborate with. This affects how the people that how you perform and how the people you interact with collaborate with you, right? You want to always be like a true leader is always respectful and doesn't make generalizations, and they know how to manage conflict. And this is going to be one of our subjects actually down the road, managing conflict, learning how to de-escalate properly, and actually manage the conflict so it never becomes a conflict, right? So you're able to, step off the line of that and redirect the energy, into a place where it's more productive and not is going to escalate into something that, A, was never intended, and B, could just be a simple misunderstanding. Okay. I think that this is also another really big subject that merits a lot of discussion. It's also a skill to be learned, right? Because there's a big difference between, as a leader, becoming proactive and reactive. And you're really only tested as a leader when you're put in those situations of stress where you have to make snap decisions right away. And they have to be effective, they have to be impactful, and they have to contribute to what's going on, right? When I used to teach every day, this is years ago, and I still, teach every day, in my business and in, martial arts still, one or the other, but I would have to make decisions. And if someone wasn't performing and I knew they were getting ready to compete, we would have to have a conversation. How can I inspire them? Right? Or a conflict would arise in the class and I would have to de-escalate it right away, right? So you want to build these skills so that you can go in and apply them when needed, where they're needed. So number 2 is strategic thinking. So a strategic mindset is a quality that we actually need as a leader, but we don't always employ, because it seems, even the words like strategic mindset, for me, I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of work, right? So it's just like, what does strategic mean for you? I think a lot of time we think of project managers or deliverables or, very corporate-y type things. When you're being strategic, it's as simple as what feels good for you? What do you want out of the interaction? What are your outcomes? And what is the outcome for the people that are involved with you? What is the transformation that you're offering, right? So a strategic mindset is actually what separates you from being an exceptional leader and just being a regular leader, because you're thinking ahead, right? And so this means that you are not only having vision about where you want to go and what you want to do, but also the determination to work towards that. Okay, so this always works together to create a synergistic energy around, connecting with your why, your passion, your purpose, just like Barbara talks about, and your UVP. What's your unique value proposition, and how does that connect with your mission and your vision? Okay, so it all works together. Okay, it takes great business leadership skills to communicate that vision properly to other members that you're working with, to other people you're networking with, to people you're talking about, to your business, whether you're working contracts somewhere, like, to get that across, you have to be really clear about that. What is your strategic thinking on how you think about things, and where do you want things to go? Okay, because really, when you're working with people, and whether it's in an entrepreneur side, corporate, or whatever it is, what is the transformation that they need? You know what you can provide, but it's always about them. What's in it for them? And this is not a selfish thing, right? Because if it's not in it for them, why should they engage with you? And I think a lot of us have to turn our thinking around on that. Oh, I offer this and that, and well, they're like, well, I sell insurance, so this doesn't really apply to me. So sorry, it's not going to work. But, if I sat there and I said, well, what's your biggest challenge in the insurance industry? Getting people to connect with me. Well, are you speaking to them in the values that are important to them? Well, what do you mean? Well, are you communicating effectively? Well, I don't know. Well, when you ask questions, what happens? And so then we start to have a deeper conversation and bring in that strategic vision, right? So make sure that you're digging deep enough when you talk to people before you shut it down, or before you've realized that, you're going to say, no, this isn't good for me. Find a little bit more about what their pain point is. Okay. Really, really important as a leader. So number 3 is being a team player. So leaders don't sit all day on their couch eating bonbons, though that would be nice sometimes. They are in it. They are in everything going on. They're involved and open to ideas that can create your business success. I'm always looking for people who approach me with new opportunities, right? I'm always willing to listen. It may not be for me, but I've stored that info away for some time later on. I remember this lady that I was dealing with, and we had a great conversation. She was a really high-end VA, virtual assistant. She'd been doing it forever. And I said, and so we connected really well, and we had a couple of really good conversations. I'm like, I don't have anybody free right now that I can think of, but I know in the future there's going to be. So, 6 months have gone by, 8 months. And finally I sent someone to her I think would be the perfect fit for her. And the collaboration, could possibly work. Right. So it's just like, I always store that info in the back of my mind. Right. Excuse me. Oh, my throat gets dry. Of what could be possible that I could help others with, right? So make sure that you're a team player, that you're connecting and collaborating. This is super key for how you're not only going to grow your business, but make more of an impact with what you do and actually become a lot more visible, okay? Also, being a team player means giving positive feedback, constructive criticism, which means you want to make sure that they're getting the message of what they could improve, but I'm not doing it in a derogatory way. I'm not going to say, you know what, you're really horrible at that. I don't know why I asked you to do that. Instead, I'd say, well, I looked at what you did, and I think you're really talented. Could we talk about ways that we could improve what you currently did? Right? And maybe bring someone else in who can help them, right? So there's always solutions to problems, right? And the last thing I want to say about being a team player is this kind of behavior creates an environment of trust. And, know, like, and trust is why people connect with us. And being a trusted partner is more important now than it ever was before, because, first of all, things are a lot more virtual. So building trust is that much harder. So you really have to listen to your gut here. And if you're not good at listening to your gut, go with what you know. Check the person out. Get references. Talk to other people about them, right? To people that you trust, right? To build trust takes time. It's not something that happens instantly. And you really, really need to be invested in creating a team that you work with, whether you have people on your team or you work alone, it doesn't matter. You're going to work with your peers. You're going to work with people who come into your company to help you out with things. If you're scaling your business, you're going to have employees. Like, it just doesn't matter. But until you create that environment of trust, things cannot grow. And as a leader, that is your responsibility. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're able to step forward into that. Number 4 is change, right? So change is a really interesting word, because when we think about change, it usually has a negative connotation. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the time we're brought up in our lives that change is a negative thing, because every time big changes happen, something horrible usually had to happen to us. And on the other side, something amazing showed up, the transformation, right? But what if we could have a different point of view about change, right? And be able to adapt with ease, right? So how much change can you have with ease? I'm willing to change things every 10 seconds to see what happens. And I know that not everybody has that mindset, but I've seen how much easier things have gotten for me if I embrace change. And my question is instead, not how much is this going to hurt to get what I need, but how much ease can I have to get where I want to go, right? And that's how I shift the mindset around that. Okay, so this is a key leadership skill, adaptation, and teaching people to embrace change instead of brace against it. Okay. To perceive change and see it coming is really what high level leadership looks like, right? Okay. If we keep going down this road, we're going to have to do this to scale, or we're going to have to do this if we want to change things, right? So something's got to be shifting. And you'll always get those people who are resisting to change. It's worth spending time and asking a couple questions around that. Why is it going to be trouble if we have change? Or why do you see as the roadblock there? What's going on there? And I'm telling you, most of the time, it's usually a deeper issue that they've had happen in the past. And so they have a perceived outlook about that. But you know what? You're the one who can make the decision to change that, nobody else. All right, so leadership skills for business owners also include implementing changes smoothly without disturbing what is going on in the business and overcoming resistance. So overcoming resistance to me is starting to ask more questions to those who are giving resistance. Why do you think this way? What do you think the what do you think the roadblocks would be? And the most important question of all is, how do you think we can resolve this? So right away, you're getting them to switch thinking about, an insurmountable problem that we're stuck with to, okay, let's work the problem. How can we create a solution? So I really like people who are like, don't come into my office if you have a problem. Come into my office with the problem, with the solution you want to apply to the problem, right? That's going to get you 2 steps ahead, right? And it's also going to get you into the mindset of being proactive about solving problems and adapting to what's going on. Okay. Being stuck in something like that isn't going to serve you in any way, right? So adaptation combined with communication skills enables a leader to pass on the vision of change and inspire others to willingly follow, right? I think that's a really deep point, right, that we need to pay attention to. The 5th one is honesty, right? And, I shouldn't really have to talk about this one, but I think it's kind of fun to bring it up. So, among the characteristics of a leader, we find that being true to yourself is what true honesty is, right? And to others as well is important to lead. Honesty is among the key leadership skills for you as a business owner, because you know what? It's going to become pretty clear if you're not, right? It allows a person to quickly gain the trust of their peers and associates, of their customers, of the people that they work with. Gaining trust is the cornerstone of gaining other people's respect. And, there's something else I'd add in there as well, is being absolutely authentic, okay? Be willing to be vulnerable. That's a whole other class conversation, because I think that's another huge subject. But be willing to put yourself out there for who you are, because people, they'll know if it's not genuine. They'll know if it's not authentic. So the only one you're trying to fool is yourself, right? So just be straight about that. So when it comes to giving negative or positive feedback, take into account and be motivated. So this is what, we call effective leadership. Okay. So you want to be effective when you're leading people, and you also want them to step into their power and success. Number 6 is learning. And I think this is one of the key traits that I see time and again. A leadership personality is aware that learning is a lifelong process. It's something that never stops. This is the reason why we're constantly seeking opportunities to educate and improve ourselves. Moreover, a leader always recognizes that sometimes other people are more knowledgeable than them in certain areas, which is a good thing. We can't know everything, right? So be willing to embrace that, learn from what people have to give you, take what you need for you, and then move on. When I used to go, when I was just, a white belt, moving up the ranks, my teacher would be like, go take seminars with other people. And I'd go take these other martial arts seminars, and I'd pick up things here and there, and I'd bring them back to the school, and she'd like, show me what you did. And some of that I would integrate into my practice, and it made me who I was. So the one thing I would say about the learning is, don't just keep learning, because you can get down in the weeds about that and stuck in that loop of never applying it to your leadership. Okay. So there has to be a point where you're like, yes, I learned this, and now I'm going to take it and apply it in my leadership. I'm not going to go keep learning more things, which is okay too. But whatever you're learning, make sure you're applying it. You're not just going into course after course after course and not really integrating it into your life, your business, or your leadership, because that is just a never-ending loop that's not going to get you any further ahead. People are looking to you as a leader for wisdom, right? And that wisdom comes from learning and interacting and connecting with others and self-growth. on so many levels. Okay. So, where was I? Okay. Um, Moreover, when you're learning from other people's, when you're working with other people, allow them to express their opinion. Okay. Because it's really important that they have a point of view about things, even if it doesn't agree with yours. It's going to get you thinking about, well, maybe I need to be more considering this. And if you're really a good leader, you're going to, introspection like this is really going to serve you by listening to what others have to say. That is where the wisdom and choice comes from. Okay. Being able to learn and promote learning is a business leadership skill that's indispensable, to a professional person who runs a business that strives for success, because it's going to allow you more education means more success. It means I can apply that into my business to offer more value, right? On so many levels. Okay. So, what I want you to ask yourself as I close up here is, are you a leadership personality? Well, I've said this before. Actually, I hate to tell you this, but you're all leaders on some level, right? You get up every morning, you run your business, or you go to work, and other people are looking to you for support in some way. That means you're a leader. Sorry, it's just the way it is, right? How you want to develop that leadership is up to you. Right? So exceptional business leadership skills are really hard to find. And there's something that you have to cultivate over time, right? You're going to make a lot of mistakes, right? Because we're human, and that's okay. I've said this before, I've learned so much more from losing or failures than I have had from winning. That's where I was able to sculpt and refine myself to be better. If we're the best all the time, how can we continue to grow? I won 3 world championships in martial arts, but I thought after that, I'm like, okay, what now? What else can I do to work on myself? And then I went into coaching, and then I learned more about coaching, and I had some failures there, and I just got better at it and better at it. And then I went and did something else, right? So you got to realize when you're ready to move on to something else, and when your success is ready to move to the next level. So make sure that you're aware of that and you're ready to embrace it when it happens, especially when you're getting ready to scale your business to the next level. Okay. When you strive to become more than just a business owner, you inspire the people that you work with. Okay. And they're the ones who are going to follow your example. Remember that a leader should establish and preserve a creative environment that allows the people they work with to perform at the maximum of their capabilities and step into their power and success. That's all I've got for you today. We covered 6 really great traits of successful leaders. I hope it helped. Join me next week when we're going to talk about something kind of cool that I found, the 7 types of leadership styles. So we're doing all this now because I want you to get into the mindset of what kind of leader you are and what you want from that. And then we're going to start to dive a little deeper. So join me next week. I'm on Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you soon. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Wow, 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 wow. I sit back and I listen to these wonderful experts on this show. And it's just, I just had to thank them for it, because it's like, see, this is what I'm talking. See, this goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the show about your gifts and your uniqueness that you have in you, and how we should share this. And I have to read this again, because Laura brought up so many good points, especially when it comes to leadership. Leadership is not just you having people under you. I hate to even think about that, like in that sense. I always say we're working as a team. I'm just here to, whatever gifts and talents I have to share with you so you can move up. See, that's the whole thing. That's in a nutshell. You shouldn't be going into leadership thinking about, oh, it's all about me and I'm having these people just work for me and then push me up the ladder or something. No, It is so not that. It's so not that. And there was so this good golden nugget she had when she says, strive to become more than a business owner. Oh, just the aha moments. But yes, you have to, as a leader, you're supposed to be inspiring. You're supposed to be teaching. You're supposed to be there listening to what the others that need what their needs are. And then from that point, then you say, okay, my goal is to make sure that your goal is being met, to make sure that you're getting the tools that you need. Not so much to say, well, you need to do what I say do because I need to get to where I need to go. You're not going to get far. And I'm just going to let you know, you're not going to get far if you do it that way in leadership. So real quickly, just to go over, because this kind of just goes into the whole thing about uniqueness and skills that you have. Utilize all the unique skills and talents you have been blessed with. You will make the most of your talents when you are not afraid to show them to the world. Many people hesitate before doing this because we have been taught in our form of it's boastfulness or prideful. No, it's not. Do not deprive the world. See, this is where I really stress this. Do not deprive the world of something it desperately needs. You and your talents. There is a great deal of satisfaction to be had when you use the talents you have been blessed with to fulfill extended of your ability. Today, allow yourself to receive the recognition you so greatly deserve. People need you. There's desperations right now. I'm always talking about showing love and everything right now. People are hurting. We need you. We need your leadership. We need your skills. We need what you have in you because it's so important. It's like I said, it's a unique talent. What did I say earlier? Everybody has a different fingerprint. Everybody. 7 billion people in the world. And we're all different with just a fingerprint. So if we're different with just a fingerprint, how do you think how we're different with our skills and our talents in us? And that's why I'm always stressing. I know people, by looking at me, they probably say Barbara equals PPD. Well, you know what? I don't mind that because that's what my mission is, to make the people understand your purpose in life. You got to understand how important it is before you even start doing anything. And then that passion, because you can automatically see the passion. I mean, you can see the passion in Laura. She loves leadership. I mean, she's just her credibility alone should tell you, let's sign up with Laura, period. There should be no hesitation. She knows her unique skill. She understands the talent she has. She brings it every single day. And she helps others understand that. She takes it to a whole nother level. That's what each and every one of us should be doing with our unique skill. So with that, I can stay on for a while, but you know what, everybody, I know you're busy. That's the word of the century. I'm busy. but love you much. We will see you tomorrow. We have our Miss Tracy Brooks coming on regarding financial information. She's always giving us some good nuggets and some information about that. And then, I always got a little tricks in my little bag of surprise people that I'll bring on. So with that, I will see you tomorrow, right? Tune in right here on the Diamond Factor Experience Show with Barbara Beckley. And remember, your PPD, your purpose, passion, drive in your life, it is your foundation. I call it your foundation because when those earthquakes and everything, pandemic, whatever you want to call, just sweeps through, you're at an easy level because you know who you are and you need to love yourself. Because when you love yourself and you have your gifts and talents, then you can go to the next level and share with others. See you tomorrow. Bye.